Recording in progress. Good evening. I'm calling to order our City Council meeting, our Truth and Taxation hearing night for the City of West Jordan. Tonight is Wednesday, August 22nd, 2023. We have all members of the council are present. Councilmember Bloom is joining us online. Council office staff are here, as well as Mayor Burton, various members of the mayor's staff. And with that, we will go to our first item, which is Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Anderson, who do we have for Pledge of the Allegiance this evening? All right, Ms. Quick.
Please stand for the pledge. Repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Right. So we have two Truth and Taxation meetings tonight. First is going to be for the City of West Jordan. The second is going to be for Fairway Estates, which will be shortly thereafter. So with that, we'll go to our Truth and Taxation hearing for the City of West Jordan. No action is anticipated this evening. Rather, we're just here to listen to members of the public. We'll hear first from Denise Steck and then open the public hearing.
Sorry. Mr. Anderson's loading the presentation real quick. And it's pretty short. Next slide. So we're just going to quickly go over truth and taxation for those that are listening online or maybe in the audience and haven't experienced really what this all means. So the first thing is truth and taxation. One of the misconceptions is that when your property value goes up, that the city receives more additional revenue than they would otherwise. And that's not so in Utah. So when property values go up, our property tax rate goes down and our revenue remains neutral. So it becomes balanced every year unless we go through this process of truth and taxation. The same happens when a property value goes down, then the property tax rate goes up, again, maintaining that same exact revenue from year to year. Can you go to the next slide, please? So it also doesn't mean that individually everybody is affected the same way because our valuations are set by the county assessor's office. We may not have complete control over what the valuation is. And so while we may look at our own property tax statement as our individual home, what the city receives in total revenue per year and how that property tax rate is set is based on a city as a whole. So there are times where commercial property may be more valuable and residential property may lose value or vice versa. But overall, we receive the same revenue year over year. Next slide. This is an example of it. So tax year 2022 is in gray on this slide, and you'll see it in the red number, $17.8 million. That was our property tax revenue last year, or this last November. And then we also have a general obligation debt that has an equalized debt service. So we received $18.6 million. But you'll see that red number moves again straight over into 2023 and becomes the property tax revenue that we would get based on last year. And then anything that's new, and new growth means that it's a brand new building. It had to be plain dirt and something was built on it different. That would be new growth. But in addition to new growth, we have to provide services to that new growth as well. So what's supposed to happen is that we get the same kind of revenue as we would have gotten for a similar building that already existed. So our property tax grew by $500,000 last year. We will be receiving additional revenue for those additional services, and we're paying our GL bond as well. The council proposed is a 5% tax increase, and we do that based on the policy that was set, or philosophy that was adopted by the council a few years ago, that we would do some small inflationary changes in order to avoid large surprises or large tax increases in one year. We proposed 5%. The council proposed 5%, and that is applied to both the regular property tax dollars and the new growth tax dollars, and just makes that lift. While it was 5%, because of the effect of the general obligation bond, the actual revenue increase is 4.8%. Inflation for that same period, where we're proposing for 5%, was 5.7%. So we're proposing a rate or an increase of less than what inflation was overall. Next slide. This is what the property tax notice means, and you'll see the yellow line. That's the number that we're looking at tonight. This tax notice represents all of the increases that have been proposed by the other districts as well. And you can see on an average home in the city, the value on residential properties as they were assessed was decreased this year. Therefore, the property tax amount is actually decreasing on the majority of residents. So in 2022, which is the furthest column, you could see that an average home in West Jordan was paying $2,778 as a whole property tax, $402 to the city. If there were no increase in the city, if all the increases for all taxing entities were approved, this same property would be paying $2,717. So there's actually a decrease in property tax revenue, even with some of them increasing in their tax rate requests. If there was no change, if nobody increased any taxes, there would be a little over $135 savings in property tax this year from what entities received last year. Next slide. Property tax distribution is your tax dollars are distributed to the different entities. So 57 cents of every $1 is distributed to the school district, and 20 cents of every dollar is distributed to the county, so Salt Lake County, and 8 cents of every dollar is to special districts. That's typically our water and our mosquito abatement district, with 15 cents coming to the city for most of the services that are actually physically present in the city, right? Public safety, roads and water and utilities and those kinds of things. All of those things are provided with their 15 cents of property tax. Next slide. Where do our dollars go? Our revenues, you can see on the left-hand side, those are our property tax dollars. I've just pulled that piece of pie out. It's about $20 million, and that includes all of the property taxes. So delinquent taxes, our GO bond, all kinds of things are in there. And then our expenditures, you'll see on the right side, our property tax dollars would pay for about 70% of our police budget and nothing for the rest of the city overall. There are many cities that tend towards having a property tax paid directly for public safety, and what we find in those cities is that the property tax amount paid is far greater than that which is collected in West Jordan. Next slide. This will show you what our property tax with increases and all the rest of them as well. Taking an average home in West Jordan that's assessed at $492,000 and applying the property tax rate to all of those cities, you'll see that West Jordan is towards the bottom with a property tax of about $406 this next year. And a lot of the cities, you'll see there's almost a break there right at about Taylorsville, where it becomes almost $600 and goes up from there, with the largest amounts being almost more than double what the city's residents pay for property tax. Next slide. Best practices. What we have discussed as a council and have recommended as leadership is to really address inflation as it comes forward. As things increase, we need to consider a property tax increase at that time and not let it just kind of build up. So effects of inflation or changes in the CPI should be considered each year in the budget process, and that, council, is what you have done. To listen to the taxpayers and not make large jumps every 5 to 7 years, which is really what some of our challengers would like to see, because they become dramatic then. When you go 5 years at 3 to 5%, that becomes a 25% tax increase. But overall, it typically, if you average tax increases for most entities, they're between 3 and 5% every year, but they just avoid them for several years at a time and then just make a huge jump. We'd like to address inflation annually. We address service level demands annually because those change too. Again, you're listening to your taxpayer. What kind of services do you want? Do you want more public safety? Do you want better roads? Do you want better parks? And are you willing to increase your taxes to pay for those things? And then the last, it's to maintain a long-term sustainability of ongoing revenue to support our ongoing demands. That will include some money to our capital improvement project fund, because again, we need to maintain those things that we're putting out there, our roads and our parks and our buildings. So, council, you've done a great job of addressing best practices, and I will leave the rest to you. So thank you for your time this evening. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Stack?
I'm going to ask one question. When's that GO bond retired?
2 years. One more payment this year, and then one more payment after that, and then the property tax rates will drop by that same amount.
Okay.
It will go away.
So the GO bond is actually part of the current property tax. When that's retired, we just don't get the money, and the property tax rate actually goes down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. With that, we will open up the public hearing. If you would like to share your thoughts on the budget, now would be the time to do so. Do see that there are a handful of folks who are participating online. If you're online and would like to speak, please hit the little icon to raise your hand. If you're here, you're welcome to come up to the podium. You'll have up to 3 minutes. We don't accept anonymous comments, so please be sure to state your name and city of residence. And with that, we'll open the public hearing. Please come to the microphone. Yeah. So usually during the public comment, we don't engage in back and forth. Rather, we listen and hear your thoughts. But please, you'll want to hit the button on the right side of the microphone. That'll turn the light red.
Right side. There you go.
All right. And then if you could share your
fancy stuff.
you'll share your name and city of residence.
My name is Bruce Edmond. I live in West Jordan on 8509 South, 2390 West in the district, whatever that's called,
Fairway Estates.
Fairway Estates. Lived there for 20 years or so.
So we'll have another, like an identical meeting for Fairway Estates here in just a moment.
No, I understand that,
Okay.
but I would like to say that I'm surprised. And frankly, when I look at the amount of money that West Jordan gets from taxes, I'm amazed that we're able to afford and do the things that are done in the city based upon that. Obviously, school has the priorities and takes the money. I'm 80 years old. My children, well, 3 or 4 of my children were raised in the state of Utah, and so it's my turn to pay for my kids because I didn't have to pay that much when they were going to school. So I'm very thankful for that. But I just wanted to say that I think it's amazing that the city can run on that minimal amount of taxation. And so I just want to commend you for that. And that's all I wanted to say. And I will talk about the other, I will ask questions another time.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else in chambers who would like to address the council? If not, we'll give those who are attending online just another moment to hit the raise hand icon to indicate if you'd like to speak during this public hearing. I have not seen any hands come from those online, so we will close the public hearing. And let's see here. Next item we have on the agenda is a motion to adjourn.
I'm going to move that we adjourn the truth and taxation hearing.
I'll second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Worthen. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.